We're back for another Web3 rundown. Really excited to talk all things market related, and things have obviously been buzzing. They are every single week. Joe, how you been today, man?
Good. I just bought some Solana Powerball, not the real Powerball. So, hopefully I win 800 Sol like these four other winners have.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. You shared that link with me. That's pretty good. It's a good use case for some of our hard-earned soul money, let me tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Fun times.
So we're going to jump in, like always. We want to start off a little bit talking about where we are in the macro, in this macro world. And things have bounced back over the weekend. We were kind of chopping close to that $100,000 Bitcoin mark, but we have turned it around. And some of the reasons why we're not going to dive too deep into it is Trump and tariff talks, on and off talks with China and the tariffs. He's reinstating them. He's taking them away. The market has seemed to harden a little bit, not as reactive with that news, but fear and greed meter down a little bit where we were over the past couple of weeks, but still pretty sitting at a pretty good spot here, especially sitting at $106,000 Bitcoin, and it's been looking pretty good today. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the show. Ethereum over $2,600 is looking very strong, starting to catch some buzz out there in the streets again. It feels like 2021. And let's look at Solana at 161. I know yesterday this was down to, I think, under 150 bucks. So great to see some of these bigger macros moving. I really believe that we're going to see a big push here. And it felt like over the past couple of days when we were like 102, $103,000 Bitcoin and everything was kind of moving in ratio with it, we've kind of found that quick local bottom, I guess we could say, and it's starting to increase in the right direction. But let's jump over and talk a little bit about these ETFs because that's been a big talk this year are these Bitcoin ETFs. As you can see, when we were seeing that pullback in Bitcoin over the past couple of days, obviously we had some we had some outflows, I should say, with Bitcoin. So it's been green up until the 29th, the 30th, and the 2nd of June. We've had some negatives back. We'll see what we're looking at a little today. But Joe, the reason I wanted to talk about these ETFs is I feel like every day we were looking that Bitcoin was just positively inflowing. We stopped literally showing the chart because we just assumed it was up a couple hundred million every single day. So we had a little pullback. But let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum
Ooh.
inflows, even when Bitcoin was negative or getting a lot more outflows, Ethereum's inflowing and getting really stronger and stronger, especially during those days where we saw Bitcoin in the red, Ethereum was still in the green. That's not typical. Any thoughts there by you? Well, I'm going to preface this. We've bashed Ethereum a good share over the past year, even though we were always Ethereum maxis, but we started to change our tune. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, and for good reason. It's still not near its all-time high, right? But the reason here is because I bought Ethereum today. I'm the reason that things are looking rosy. But I did buy it on an abstract chain because I bought some rec drinks and some NFTs and stuff. So I'm utilizing Ethereum, but on abstract chain. So personally, that's how I'm doing it. And I've been hearing things around my circles of Ethereum making a comeback. So I'm sure you're hearing the same. And it shows in the data that people, institutions are somewhat bullish on it, which is interesting to see in my opinion. I don't see any change in the protocol. Although our analyst, shout out to Brendan, says that all the issues with Ethereum are easy fixes. So, well, hopefully we see some Ethereum movement and we can see those rotations in the memes.
Yeah, that's good kind of transition where we're going over these next two clips I want to show. But I do want to talk about these inflows a little bit more. There's been $364 million over the past five sessions have inflowed into Ethereum, while even more notable, Bitcoin has seen net outflows over the last three sessions of 1.23 billion. So the times now, Ethereum, Bitcoin peeling back a little bit and you're starting to catch up in the green. It definitely looks strong. I think with our private community, a little bit on this show, I've kind of been stating my case for it as well that I do think Ethereum's going to hit like a get over 3,000. That's going to be a nice psychological barrier, find some strength there. And I'm personally packing my bags for the Pepes, the Mogs, some of these Ethereum meme coins, Reccoin. I think they have another leg up. And especially if we start to catch even more of a bull run, But you mentioned there that Brendan mentioned that there's some easy fixes. Well, the Ethereum Foundation's absolutely refocusing what they want to do with Ethereum. And Tyler got a pretty brief and good text X post here saying that there's three strategic goals. They want to scale the L1. We all know that's been needed for a very, very long time. Scale the L2 and improve the user experience. You can say that in pretty much any chain that you want to continue to improve the UX. It did feel like the Suis, the Solanas, they were just continuously improving the user experience, and Ethereum still had a little bit of a clunky nature, but they're restructuring. They have a strategic initiative, and it's starting to catch some steam here, as we said, in the price movement.
Yeah, I love the L2 on Ethereum. That's why I see the price of Ethereum itself struggling because Abstract does so well with integrating Ethereum onto, its L2 platform, very easy to use. Base, which has just been taken off in the world of meme coins. I've been utilizing Ethereum there too this week. And so that's why I need to buy more Ethereum. It's not because I want more Ethereum. I want to use it on the L2s. So definitely I am all over the Ethereum world. So hopefully I'm helping to boost up the price a little bit.
Yeah, you're buying rec drinks, you're using ETH. To be honest, over the past maybe 10 days, I've probably bought more items, NFTs, rec drinks, a handful of NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And I kind of was notably like, I don't think I'm going to be buying many more ETH NFTs. I'm just going to hold what I have. Hey, choose some hotness, some interesting projects. Shout out to the teams I was interested in. And I started to dust off some old dusty ETH and put it to good use. So that's always exciting. And there's some major news in the macro world. Well, yeah, major news. This Clarity Act, Joe. They're establishing some clearer rules for crypto. Something that we always need: clearer rules, better regulation. But long story short, they're trying to give more oversight to the cryptocurrency world, to the CFTC, and less to the SEC. I think a lot of people here are really looking at that as um, a bullish take because the CFTC has been kind of known to oversee like digital commodities while the SEC handles these traditional securities. And we know the SEC has been kind of lawsuit happy over the past couple of years with crypto companies. So we're trying to reestablish a baseline here and give a little bit more control or oversight to the CFTC, which I love to see personally. And this happened a few days ago. And we've talked about this. I don't think we talked about it on the rundown. That's why I threw it on our sheet here. Is Trump media can't get their hands out of crypto. I feel like I see Eric Trump, Don Trump Jr., anybody that's connected to the Trump family continuously talking about how they're bullish on Bitcoin. I believe I saw Donald Trump Jr. today even kind of trending saying that he's moved the majority of his assets into Bitcoin because their family has been debanked. So he's a big believer. We know he is. And Trump media is going to be buying billions with a B to establish a Bitcoin reserve. Kind of the flavor right now is if you own a company, you're gonna allocate some of your funds to a strategic reserve of some sort with Bitcoin backing.
Yeah, we've seen so much Bitcoin strategy and treasuries, more so, I would say, this last month than I've ever seen in my life. So it's exciting to see that adoption overall. And even without the Clarity Act, if I could just share my screen really quickly,
Yeah,
I just want to share this because I was just in Jersey last week. Bergen County signed a $24 billion in properties records. They're looking to bring that all those property records on blockchain with Avalanche. And I just want to share that because even though, federally we're looking for guidance, right? On the state side, a lot of things are moving forward. Famously marijuana, you can state legal, federally illegal, right? You can't bank federally. So we're seeing people, they're not waiting. They're like, the New York mayor wants to introduce a bit bonds. I'm like, dude, I'll buy some bit bonds. I trust bit bonds more than New York bonds, and they're tax. I'm not sure if you know this, but municipal bonds are tax free. Like, why not get a return on Bitcoin? That's a state Bitcoin. So I would need to look more into that. But I mean, the products that we see, the mass adoption that we've been wishing since 2017, it's here. We're in the eye of the storm. We're seeing all the stuff happening, and the question is, how do you capitalize on these things? And there'll be some very unique opportunities, and that's why everyone should, come check our community because we try to stay on top of all these movements because there's a lot of state opportunities on top of the federal ones.
Yeah, you nailed it, Joe. There's just tons of opportunities all through the space right now. And a lot of these companies are absolutely trying to get their hands in on Bitcoin. Now we have companies putting Sol as a strategic reserve. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I read about another company today that was doing that. We have SharpLink with Ethereum. So everyone's trying to get into the crypto game. I was actually with some close friends over this weekend, and they all know that I'm in the cryptocurrency industry, and they're all pretty savvy, smart guys. And a lot of them, well known in certain areas of their expertise, but still very naive to what's actually happening in the crypto world. Still kind of have these not negative, but they just don't fully understand the scope of what's happening right now. And for instance, we have Meta, formerly Facebook, had a shareholders meeting recently where they were talking about adding Bitcoin to their treasury. Now that did get voted down. And who else did that? Was it Apple or
I think it was
Microsoft?
Microsoft.
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 Yeah, but even though they're not getting approved and the shareholders aren't fully on board yet, I think it's going to be a matter of time until they're doing it. But we're seeing more and more companies coming out every single day. And cue a perfect segue. Our boy Michael Saylor is announcing another unique way to buy Bitcoin. So as we all know, strategy that is now MicroStrategy made a pretty interesting announcement here, and we can just kind of go over it. That excuse me, that MicroStrategy is selling a new type of stock called STRD, which pays investors a 10% a year, and they're using money raised from this to buy even more Bitcoin. So the STRD stock has no end date and it can't be redeemed by the company. It pays a pretty high yield compared to most other stocks or bonds. It's a bit riskier because it doesn't have like that credit rating, but MicroStrategy owns so much Bitcoin, it really helps it back it up at the end of the day. So basically, strategy wants to give investors a good return, 10%, so they can buy even more Bitcoin. So diving a little bit deeper into it, it's definitely a unique move by Saylor in strategy. Have you followed this news at all? What are your thoughts here?
First time I'm hearing about it, and it just makes me want to buy more strategy. I own some. Is this a separate holding or is it the same as the original ticker? Because that would be something I would love to add to my bags.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a separate
Okay,
offering.
that's fine.
It,
I don't mind dipping my toe into that. More yield sound great to me. 10% yield sounds great to me. I see he's trying to copy some corporate, bond yields and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, what I think Sailor has seen is like BlackRock come in and totally, they didn't see the limelight, but they're like, hey, we're taking this and they're going to start pitching it. Fidelity start pitching it. Basically, everyone's going to pump Bitcoin because it's a major money maker for them in terms of like fees and whatnot. And that train or tsunami is probably not stopping. So, the 10% yield thing, he probably wouldn't have done a while back, but now it's like, okay, well, I got all my buddies with me. This thing's pumping to the moon. So I think the pump has just started.
yeah, I definitely, man. All the 10% yield is juicy. Like, let's just call it as it is. I mean, it's kind of Michael Saylor's basically going out there. It's like, hey, give me money so I can buy more Bitcoin. I'm gonna give you a 10% yield on your money. There's not a guy in the space more bullish than Michael Saylor. I'm damn close, and I know you are too. But it's fun to watch. And some other major companies out there that have really been, moving strong in the traditional stock world, such as Robinhood, officially completed an acquisition of Bitstamp. So it's a 200 million takeover that gives them over 50 global crypto licenses, and it has an established institutional crypto client base, new lending and staking infrastructure, a crypto service that's called as like a white labeled product, and Hood, as I think our boy TiVo and Brendan on their rundown show kind of been celebrating the Hood gains. It's up over 72% on the year.
Whew.
Really hard for me to believe that Robinhood's going to take a back seat in this crypto world. They're jumping in feet first, and they're a huge company. So, very kind of wrapping up my portion of these thoughts is there is a ton of major companies out there, billions and billions of dollars driving into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and now other crypto assets, if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the crypto world right now, you have to be. And that was actually a message to my buddies over the weekend. I was like, hey, I'm not telling you to go and blindly invest money, but you should definitely just start paying attention. If you're slightly even interested in it, start paying attention because there's a lot of smart people out there doing some big things.
Yeah, the meta could rotate back into Web 2 or TradFi. Like, everyone was trying to get into crypto, and now crypto's launching on the S&P and the Nasdaq. And then Hood's helping Circle to do pre-IPO, which raises price prediction to $27. So that's insight for people. You want to get some Circle IPO, then you can get some through Hood. So that could be the next meta. Like, hey, all these crypto companies are IPOing, and you can get in on that way, kind of like circa 2000, but we kind of already been through the circa 2000 with all these cryptos. Like we flushed away kind of a lot of the bad ones. Now we got Avalanche doing, 5-year contract deals with Bergen County, New Jersey. So we kind of have like a foothold of actual companies with revenues versus like in the dot-com bubble, you didn't know which one was going to be a great win or like a pets.com that famously failed, right? So yeah, I'm excited to do crypto and the IP crazy IPO world that's about to come. But these are regulated. You can't get rug pulled, I don't think, with a Circle IPO, much like these IDOs. But we will get into not IDOs today, but the more speculative assets because we love talking about how to, get a one up on the world of crypto. Because although Bitcoin is soaring, meme coins have crushed Bitcoin gains in the last, I would say, 30 to 60 days. Because, as the cycle goes, at least this one returned before. So looking at what's happening right now, things are kind of just up and down. We're waiting for Bitcoin, the tariff, Supreme Court ruling or whatnot. Like, oh, you can't do it. Really shook up the market just for a short term. Everything looks intact for the long term. Out of the top 10, I'm sad to see my Pudgy Pelicans not in the top 10. But good to see that the top 10's almost back to where it was, where everything was rounding out. Like you couldn't get into top 10 without $1 billion market cap. Anything here surprising to you in terms of ranking or dark horses you're betting on? Are you seeing something like a comeback with?
I was just counting where Pudgy Penguins was there, and it's 10 on the spot on this list. I'm surprised Pudgy Penguins isn't higher, to be honest with you. $684 million market cap. Could see that doubling with just a few big announcements. Probably the biggest surprise I saw is Dog with Hat is over $1 billion again. And it's actually closing in on our beloved Fartcoin. So that is very
Oh,
interesting. So
wow.
Farcoin's sitting at 1.16 and Dog with Hat sitting just a shade over a billion at $1. So really interesting to see that because they're both on the same chain. They're both Solana tokens. They both have very similar communities. And at one point, it felt like I was a big fan of Dog with Hat. I had large holdings that I'm mostly out of it. I definitely have some, but not like what I had a long time ago. And I actually pivoted a lot of that, I think, into Farcoin. I need to look back at my trades, but very interesting to see Dog with Hat kind of roar back. Now, it's still down a little bit on the 7 day, but up 20% on the 24 hours. But I think the big call out there, it's over $1 billion and we could be doing the show and it could flip Farcoin. I would have taken Farcoin to hold that ranking over to Dog with Hat 10 out of 10 times. So it's always nice to have competition in the space.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting to see the dog with hat come back. I thought it was going to keep sliding down. I want to take a look at Pepe because Trump made a Truth Social post with a Pepe in the background, and it pumped a little bit supposedly, but maybe it's in the last 7 days. There's a little pump right here. Yeah. What do you make of that? I'm not sure if you heard that within your circles, but did he really put a Pepe or was that AI?
I'm not really sure who did that, the intern, if it was Trump, but there was definitely a lot of things pointing to him, utilizing the meme Pepe. So anybody that's asked what Pepe is, I mean, the president of the United States at least knows, which is interesting. That is a little lower than I would expect, but I'm projecting Pepe to be one of the biggest winners in the meme coin run. It's sitting at a $5 billion market cap, and Sheeb is almost 8 billion. I think those are misplaced. I think Pepe should flip Sheeb. I still who comment below who the heck is buying Sheeb? Who's holding it? It's not talking crap because meme coins are meme coins, and you buy what you like and you stay with the communities you like. But I'm just like, I know a lot of people in this industry, and nobody ever talks about Sheeb, but it just still trends around a 7, 8, 9, $10 million billion market cap. So I think it's only a matter of time that Pepe really closes that gap. It did take a pretty nasty fall when Bitcoin was kind of dying over the past couple of days. Pepe was kind of taking some nasty corrections, but it had a pretty big day yesterday. I think up like 10%. So we'll see, but I'm still pretty bullish on a lot of those meme coins on Ethereum mainnet.
Yeah, I think it holds the top spot because it's the Doge of the Ethereum network. Although Doge is looking to wormhole to every network now, and then similar to Bonk is the Doge of the Solana network. So that's probably why Sheep is up there. But who knows? Who knows? I did own some Sheep at one point, not anymore. I'll tell you what people are hyped about, and you're hyped about this. It's hype. And it's finally coming to the US. Okay, so you can finally trade it legally in United States through Binance.us. And you told me that hype actually started here probably from months ago when it was low that it's going to be $100 token. Tell us why. I know it's perps, futures, people love that stuff. Any other reason here? Oh, they just came up with their NFTs that's sitting at what 2.6, 2.3 Ethereum each. Was that hype?
They have some NFTs like the hypers. They have some other NFTs. There's season two, season three of an additional airdrop is going to probably be coming out in Q3, Q4. So you're going to get more airdrop of hype. People love perp trading. I honestly, I'm not exactly sure why Hyperliquid. They're an EVM chain. You can go on their platform. You can buy Bitcoin. You can buy other crypto assets. You can buy NFTs. They're big into perps. I always looked at Hype as the leader in perps trading, and that's why I was always kind of bullish on it. But it's actually expanded to a lot more than that, and they continue to grow. And they're catching some tier one listings like Binance. In the United States can't even you buy it. You can buy it legally, but you have to. I guess I don't know how this with the legal talk goes. You can use. It's not illegal to use a VPN in the United States, and I've heard people who want to buy Hype have gone about it that way. I'm not sure where the legality is on that, but you can still get access to it. But for it to go on a tier one exchange that's on the United States is going to be big. I do believe it's going to $100. I think that's a pretty key number. There's a lot of people in the space have been saying it. Full disclosure, I'm a hype bull. I've been a hype bull for a long time, so take that with a grain of salt. But I've been very happy with it. I'm staking my hype. I'm earning on my hype. I'm thinking, and I want to talk about this with our private community more. I don't know if it's going to be this upcoming newsletter or a future one. But I really sat down and I was mapping out a plan this morning, Joe, of how I can get more exposure to this upcoming airdrops. There's going to be a hype airdrop, and that's going to be utilizing their dexes, utilizing their platforms, buying NFTs, just overall utilizing all their protocols. And I was kind of making a list earlier today, all the ones I want to get access to. And that's not to say that you're going to get rewarded for it. It costs real money to utilize those platforms to buy NFTs, but I do think it's going to pay off. And there's been some really interesting people out there. Easy, who's part of the Bodagos kind of group out there on crypto Twitter, famously, it happened this morning, so famously is a loose term, sold his CryptoPunk. I love CryptoPunks, but he sold his CryptoPunk for I think 110 grand, something around there. Let's say 100 grand. And he sold his CryptoPunk today. And the reason why he was talking about, he was like, I'm just gonna sell my CryptoPunk and dump it all into hype. So pretty bold move by him. And there's a poll floating around Twitter. Couldn't find it in time for this show. Of basically like, do you think what would you rather have, a CryptoPunk or what would you rather have, $100,000 CryptoPunk or $100,000 in hype? And I personally thought the hype people would be crushing that number. It did seem like it was a pretty close to 50-50 of where it was. So, which was surprising to me, honestly. I thought hype would beat it out, but I can't say that's a bad move by Easy. I think there's a real path here for hype to 2, 3x from where it is now. I think punks can do the same thing, but I think hype can do it a lot faster.
I look forward to that video. I am getting hyped. listening to it. You've been talking about it for a while, so it's not like it's a today thing. It's been like documented like maybe half a year ago, maybe even longer than that. So, congrats for those of you who got in and held throughout this time because it's only looking up. We're looking at $100. You heard it here from Brian. He said
Yeah.
100. And then
No.
I think we talked about on the show like, hey, one day it's gonna flip Solana or something like that, or that was the goal. Um,
Yeah, it was. I think at $100, it flips what Solana's worth, which I think Solana moves up with it as well. I don't think like Solana stays stagnant. I think it could get very interesting, but there's a lot of talk, a lot of mind share around hype. They're delivering good products, and again, if anybody's interested in it, definitely check it out in our community.
yep, for sure. Now, let's go on to the most exciting part, surprisingly for this week. And back into Ethereum when I add Moonbirds. Woo, look at that. Up 300%, close to 400% from the floor because Yuga Labs has sold the Moonbirds IP to Orange Cap Gains. And people are loving this news. They are loving it. You are a Moonbird holder. I have some friends who are Moonbird holders. I infamously brushed aside the mint. I was like, I'm not minting this because I thought it was too expensive or something. I think it was like 1 ETH or something like that, right? Or two ETH,
Two or
yeah.
2.5, yeah, it's
But ETH
expensive.
wasn't that. ETH wasn't crazy expensive that time. But I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it, and I had the allocation for it too, and I missed out. Yeah. So tell us about this Moonbird move. Do you like it?
I like the prices going up. I round tripped. I made pretty good money on one Moonbird I sold back in the day, and I held on to one. And then at one point, just watching it go down and down and down, and then I started to grow some dislike for some people in the Moonbirds team, which has changed hands. Not Yuga before that, and we're not going to talk about that too much. But I just wasn't really happy with the hype in the delivery of what they promised. But I always liked the Moonbirds, like the pixelated owls. I thought they were cool, but then it became like super cool to have it. And then 8 to 10 months later, it was like you felt like a loser to have it as your PFP. And no, like it was almost embarrassing to tell people that you were still a Moonbirds holder. It's like, wait a minute, you just held on to that. So yes, I am one of those people because I always secretly hoped something like Spencer from Orange Cap was going to come in and buy it and put this to good use because I'm big, and this is why I like meme coins, Joe, and I like NFT communities. I'm big in like once things get washed out to a point, the people left behind, if it's still trading, if it's like not a literal zero, they're there. They're kind of ready to go on. Like myself, I'm ready to take this to the next level. And Spencer, kind of who's connected to Orange Cap Games, and trying to get him on our podcast. So if you're listening, man, holler at us on our Twitter because I want to interview you. He's kind of known as a token guy.
Mm.
So that's probably the speculation that's going around is Moonbirds is get
Okay.
connected to a token, and that's why it's trading at like almost 1 ETH right now. It's 4x after the sale, so they were dead. And then they have the side collection, the Moonbird Mythics. I think they're like 0.15 Ethereum and some other projects. So they have a real opportunity to do something with this. And we've talked about this with a lot of different acquisitions. Sergito with Meebits, I think he can do some big things with that acquisition. I love what Pudgy Penguins and Luca has done. I think Spencer with Moonbirds got a really strong community that's left over, can dust off kind of the hatred or the dislike of Moonbirds and kind of make them cool again. Let's make Moonbirds great again is kind of the thought. And he has a real opportunity. You can gamify him, you could do more collaborations. He's well known in the space, get some tokenomics and some real value behind it. Next thing you know, Moonbirds could be one of those top projects out there with the Pudgy Penguins, the Doodles, and that's the hope at the end of the day because there's not a lot of people launching new hot projects on Ethereum with NFTs. So why not go after Moonbirds with that community and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they have to wash the stink off, the Kevin Rose stink off. I don't know how long that stink's gonna last because people always connotate it with that. But yeah, Moonbirds, they were the hottest thing. I remember going to a a dinner held by Moonbird holders, it was like lavish. And my Moonbird friend brought me, and I was like, "How much money did you guys spend on this dinner?" It was like a VCs were there. I'm like, I don't hold a Moonbird, but it's amazing. And so I just wish they would go back to that glory because they were all the hype. People loved them, and I hope that they do something with the IP. Because it's supposed to be art based, right? Art based. People love art for NFTs, and I think I am looking into that more and more. Heck, I was looking into a Chromie Squiggle behind you, and I'm not sure if it was always that price or maybe I just have more money now. Were they just always $10,000? I'm like, dude, is that cheap? Like, it sounds really cheap to me versus what they were in the heydays of 2022. What was like the top Chromie Squiggle price back then?
Oh man, they were high. They were high for a while there. Yeah, 10 grand seems that's a they were a little lower than that kind of during the dog days, but I don't know, Joe. You should buy a Chromie Squiggle. I should buy more too. I like this Chromie Squiggles. But right now we're concentrating on like some other opportunities I think that can move a little faster than the Chromie Squiggles, but those are like the type of NFTs out there that you just like my Grifter. I love my X Copy Grifter, and there's been some huge. Do you know X Copy had a sale this week? It was an edition of 10, dude, for $1.1 million. An edition of 10 for $1.1 million. That's like unheard of. Not a one of one, not even a one of five. In addition to 10 for 1.1 million. So I'm a big fan of my Grifter, only 666 of them. And there's just some NFTs that I'm just like, hey, this is mine, and hopefully it's mine for a very, very long time. Back to the Moonbirds, kind of washing the stink off of them. Anybody that's a Moonbirds holder or an ex holder or a hater, or you probably dislike Kevin Rose because a lot of people were very sour on him, and for good reason. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but for good reason. The best way to get back at him, make Moonbirds great again. Like, make them soar, make them a top NFT project, give it to a dedicated community member like Spencer, like the team, to fire it off, make them worth something, get them token kind of so he looks back and he's like, I gave up on that project too early, too soon. I fumbled the bag. That's the best way to get back at somebody. So, and that's not because I'm just a holder. I don't want you guys to just pump my Moonbirds bag. I really like the community. I went to a party at NFT NYC and it was a blast. There's some good people there. So we'll kind of see how that all shakes out. But I was talking about the X Copy sale. There's been some other notable NFT sales as well recently.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Yeah, I have a feeling. I don't know. It's because you know how we talk about NFTs being too early and eventually people will get there. Like, this is a great sale. 120 Ethereum. I don't get it, but there's a lore behind here, and people are commenting. They're like, "Oh, that's a lot for a skull that, is it truly on chain? Who even knows?" But notable sales are back. I have it itching. I have an itching, Brian. Like, NFTs are like people are adopting crypto, and people will soon realize that Chromie Squiggles, artwork, X copies, punks are like these are like the holy grails, and we might see that rotation sooner than later. We might see that pop sooner or later. So, and I was trying to find an X copy one of 10 if you can find it. But yeah, things are happening in the world of NFTs, and that's why we're spending longer today on this section, more than before because there's just so much stuff happening with NFTs. Like Rec Drinks did NFT sale. Oh, this is that the right post? Hold on, let me stop my screen share. Let me find the right post here.
Why you find that? I'm just going to throw in some 2 cents of that Mascalucci
Yeah.
sale. Very expensive, but that's part of Sam Spratt is one of the best NFT artists around. He's unbelievable. He has the Monument Game, and if you own one of those Massive Lucci, you're part of the council. So it's a very exclusive group of NFT OGs, and I know a few people in there, and they are sharp, liked minds, and they're part of a council to where this game is going. And he has a very unique way to gamify those things. I think the masks, I can't remember what they are on the floor. The Mask of Lucci there was recently NFT drop on Nifty Gateway,
Hmm.
and that was Sam Spratt as well. And if you had one of those, the skull, you were able to get the Mask of Lucci, and those are I think a 6 or 7 ETH floor right now. And I was sweating those for a while. I really wanted one on Nifty Gateway, a little bit rich for my blood at the time, but he's doing some big things in the space. So that he's kind of like an X copy in my eyes. Sam does some great things. So even though that's a very high price, I see why somebody who's very interested in NFTs, who are in those communities, would spend that much money because they want to be part of that council and they want to be part of what Sam's building. So again, that's where we go into talking about NFTs. Some of these communities are so small and the price can go fast and it's a part of digital art, providence. You can gamify these things. So it's just great to see some big sales hitting the timeline that just aren't CryptoPunks.
There's a lot of things hitting the timeline. Let's talk about really quickly, the Rect brand, which is doing great things, sitting at close to 100 million, the coin itself. The NFT you can resell. So this, and like we were mentioning, people are back incorporating NFTs. Well, Rect guys never left, but they incorporate NFTs with OpenSea. So you could triple dip. You can buy an NFT, you could get OpenSea points. OpenSea just went live with the point system. So maybe that's another reason Ethereum pumps back up because, OpenSea did a lot of Ethereum volume, but NFTs, and you can farm their drop coming up, their TGE for the coin. Is their coin called C? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's called
yeah.
C. So you can farm OpenSea, you can farm Abstract token. They have a TGE, and then Rect Rewards has their own reward system. So you could triple dip right now by utilizing, at least this drop. And they're reselling. I bought two because I was like, I'm gonna flip one. I bet you these are gonna sell out so I can make a 10% on my money right now. I'm not sure if I want more drink or if I want to sell this NFT, but I got two of these bad boys. And another thing a Rect brand is the first ever loan against a Rect coin happened. I've never seen a loan against a meme coin, but on Gandhi, famously a loaning company for NFTs, they loaned out $4,000 off of $10,000 Rect coin. So there's a believer there. Interesting to see that happening on chain. So we loved our Rect boys. How many cases did you get?
I got four cases
Woo!
of them. I am a big fan of what Ovi's building at Rect. I always have been. Kind of used to be a Rect guy holder. Own a decent amount of the Rect coin. I think it's one of the top meme coins on Ethereum. I love it. I love his vision for the entire space. I mean, he's well off. He's doing well. He's done some great job. Him and Mando are kind of known for this Bored Ape trade back in the day, where they just made, like basically sold the top with like 100 apes or something ridiculous. And Ovi is very interesting. The story behind Rect and Rect Guy, he was in the traditional finance world, and when he sat there at his cubicle at his desk, kind of trading, he used to doodle this Rect Guy and how you get wrecked, And he turned it into an NFT project, very well known in the NFT space, runs in a lot of interesting circles. They've launched a meme coin, Rect, but they've put it to really good utility use. What we've talked about all the time with these meme coins, that you have a real opportunity to leverage your brand in your community. So it's great to see what they've done. I think we were calling that out. I know months ago I called out Rect at like a 12 or $15 million market cap. You doubled down under 20 million with our community. You're like, this is the point to get. And I think it trades over 100 million. So that's a
Yeah.
5-10x just for anybody within our community. And they're one of our favorite coins out there. Their NFTs have done well, and he has a very unique and strong grasp of the space. So Rect did a collaboration just recently with Abstract in these green cans. That one right. These green cans. The apple raspberry can. I was just telling you before the show, no BS. That I was like, this tastes good, man. I was like, it is a sparkling water, and I'm not just blowing up steam at anybody. It tastes really good. It's a drink that I was like, I could see this doing very well. And you bought this Rect utilizing, I believe, Shopify and a credit card. And this go around, so that was a collaboration with Abstract. This go around with OpenSea now, he obviously strike while the iron's hot with OpenSea, where you can get allocation of the C token or at least points for it. You can farm Abstract with it. And this is really centered around more of a Web3 centric group of people. You needed Ethereum to buy this coin. The Abstract one, the green can, you could do it with credit card. And he did it strategically to be like, all right, this is for the Web3 community using Abstract on ETH. And it sold out lightning fast. And he utilized NFTs. A moment ago, you were showing the NFTs for all around the world in Europe. There's a different NFT for the United States and Canada, believe it or not, North America. So you get this NFT, so you have the resale value. This is what companies should have been doing for years with NFTs. You buy, yep. Like, you want to buy the hottest sneaker out in town, buy the NFT, and you can freely trade that NFT. You don't have to verify or authenticate or pay for shipping back and forth, sending a physical product. Just connect it to an NFT. It's like a no brainer. And it's almost surprising that it takes this long for people to just execute on it, but he's nailed it. And I love the NFT too. I think it looks cool. I mean, I'm going to redeem it for my cases of sparkling water, and maybe I'll resell some. I don't know. But I'm looking at the US Canada one right now, Joe. They're 0.036. What were they when we bought them? 0.029. So they're up a decent
0.029.
amount.
Yeah.
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 So they'll probably get back to close to mint price because it's expensive for a can of sparkling water, but they're doing it right. People are embracing it. I don't know. I'm a big fan. Can you tell?
Yeah, I'm gonna show their upcoming roadmap. They have something in mid-June. I don't know what that is. July is August. Is H for hype? Are they launching a hype? And then Q4. I mean, they have a lot of stuff happening here. So we obviously are a fan of Rect and Reccoin. You know, maybe Brian took out that loan on Reccoins. I don't know. But yeah, like you said, and like I believe, you know, we've always wished for crypto adoption, right? That took what, 16 years, and now finally states are adopting them. So NFTs came on 2022. You have to give them some time, but I think that time is coming closer and closer, Brian. Like where people are going to rotate heavy into NFTs. And let me just finish up because we could talk all day about NFTs for some weird reason. Last thing I'm going to show is this flywheel. You know, drinks sell out, attention increases, rent goes up. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Not financial advice, but my little bags can use it. Yeah, let's finish up some NFT stuff because we could just go on and on. There's so much stuff happening in NFTs. Pixel Vault is auctioning off the crypto punks. I'll let you chime in on that in a second. No graphics here, but Spinosaurus. My son loves Spinosaurus. That's why I always talk about Spinosaurus. But Claynosaurs, a past call for our community. They're up to like, I don't know, 12 souls, something like that. They're coming out with a 39 episode arc that they're finally deploying. So like you said, products are finally shipping. We have Kaito Genesis NFTs. So it wasn't hype NFTs. It was Kaito NFTs that are sitting at 2.8. So does that mean
Mhm.
Cookies is gonna come out with another one and Bubble Maps maybe come out with NFTs? So NFTs are holding strong. And lastly, I have to talk about this. I made like $400 this last weekend just flipping NFT packs. WNBA, which no one watches, by the way, besides me and some other cohorts, because this girl right here, Paige Buckners, who's out, by the way, of Concussion Protocol, her $995 for a signature cert, and people are paying for these. People are, you can scroll down, people are buying these, and no one even cares about WNBA as much as, you know, NBA, specifically this rookie. But, you know, things are shipping in the NFT world right now. Things are moving. I like it because I'm an NFT OG.
Yeah, I like it too, man. They're a lot of fun, and it's nice to talk a little bit more in depth about them right now. The Pixel itself, this Punks collection is kind of a bummer, if you ask me. I'm also a holder of quite a few assets from Pixel Vault, and that has not panned out the way I thought. I thought their original game plan was really strong. This Punks collection that they had in escrow that connected to the Punks token. Now they're auctioning this off. To be honest, I haven't even kind of looked into the details of it, but I saw it the other day. I was a little sour on it. Claynosaurus, 39 episodes of animated TV series to like attract kids. I know my son is gonna love this little dinosaur show, and your son probably will too. So I'm really happy for that team because they've been around the Soul game for a very long time.
Yeah.
So congrats to any holders. Congrats to that team. Somebody else I'd love to have on the podcast. We should reach out to them. And the Top Shot stuff, Joe, I actually follow the WNBA. Caitlin Clark got me everything. You know, I think she got a lot of people, but it's hard not to watch it. And then you start to kind of like have like a real fandom for some of these players out here. So I love to see Top Shot still bumping out there. And this is, you know, the NBA Finals is wrapping up here, and well, the final series is going to be starting soon, but the NBA will be off, but WNBA will still be going. So Top Shot kind of still lives on and lives strong, and I'm still a big fan of that whole world. I think the story around it makes a ton of sense. Digital collectibles versus physicals. Physicals will always have a place in my heart and other people's hearts. I actually collect some cards as well, but I have not sold a lot of my Top Shot collection just because I still really like them.
Mm. Yeah. I'm surprised that Paige Buckner is dethroning Caitlin Clark. Like, she's a second coming of Caitlin Clark. I don't want to bring any topics into this, but she's the number one pick, right? And WNBA could use a lot of friendly faces, and I think Caitlin Clark and Paige Buckner is very marketable, differently than a lot of the other WNBA players. So not a WNBA show by any means, but it's interesting how things are reflected in the digital world now, and the price shows it, the data shows it, and it's exciting to see a lot of these things in a broad spectrum versus just niche, right? Like last week's we were talking about just very niche things. Now we're seeing like everything pop off, from Moonbirds to Rect to art to Top Shop to, I mean, just everything in the NFT world. So super exciting to hear about, what's going on there. And maybe some of these, like you mentioned, will start launching tokens like Moonbirds.
Yeah, I think we've been saying that for over a year now, that there's a clear path here for some of these NFT companies to grab attention is connecting themselves with a token. So I think that's definitely a natural path. I love that NFTs are kind of starting to pick up with news. I love that some of these projects where they've had diehard communities are now starting to see some fruits from just like their pain. And it's maybe an exciting time. And if everyone wants to learn more, you want to talk macro crypto, you want to talk about the hottest meme coin out there, you want to learn more about the NFT world, Joe and I are in every single rabbit hole that is around. I feel like Joe gives a great line. We're kind of the Navy SEALs of the crypto world. It is tough to navigate these crypto streets. There's a lot of news coming out every single day. We really want to give a very digestible, friendly, and fun way for people to understand it. If you love NFTs, if you love gaming, if you love just trading coins, we're kind of in it all in our own way. So don't forget, we're in a private community. We have a link down below where you can join. We have a podcast. We have the rundown shows. We do market updates. Joe, we really do it all.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys in our community.